Hi, this is Greg with Music to My Ear and Northern Audio, and today back with another edition of What's in My Collection. So today's theme, I wanted to go over a little bit of chill hop. So maybe some of this doesn't quite fall in the exact category of chill hop, but the point is the vibe of these records. They're going to be very mellow for the most part. The intention is put them on, let them play background music, but also can be very engaging if you're doing some dedicated listening with them. But all of these records have fantastic sonics to them. Highly recommended some of the stuff that I use for demos in my collection. So here we go. First off, a lot of people might know this band, Karun Bin, Karang Bin, say it how you like it. But this was their very first album. And this is what they hit the scene with, where they made their name. It's all instrumental for the most part. There's a little bit of vocals in it. But the way they're recorded, very ambient. There's a lot of decay, a lot of echo's the wrong word, but it's a very large sound stage. It's a very chill album overall. There's a couple songs that have a little quicker pace to them, but just very, very well done record. Great sonics to it. When you hear this, you kind of see why they got big and why they got as big as quick as they did. So definitely worth grabbing that guy there. Next up, Air, French band. That's Moon Safari. People may know this record. This one here is actually one of their special edition ones for Vinyl Me Please. And some of the ones you may know on here, La Femme d'Argent, I believe I said that correctly. How about that? Some Pittsburghese French. But nonetheless, this record, the sound stage on it, it's very mystical type sound to it, if you will. There's a lot of swirling back and forth and a lot of panning between the speakers, and it's just a very well done record from the mastering, the sonics, but it's also a very chill record too. Certainly something to put on and just let play. And this isn't off the beaten path. A lot of people do know what this is, but I'm here to tell you this is certainly a record worth getting if you like that kind of music. And from there, another one of my favorite records. So this guy, Alt J, this is all yours. This was their second record. This was the record to where they hit the scene. They had the album An Awesome Wave. I was a big fan of Alt J when they first come out. And then I believe it was one of their lead singers actually left the band. And there was a lot of, were they going to be able to pull off that same magic? And they certainly did. And even more so, I think this album is more engaging than Awesome Wave. I think this one, there's a little more of a mystical journey as far as, when you listen to the whole album from beginning to end, where Awesome Wave is more kind of broken up as far as the listen is concerned. And then also the sound staging of it particularly, there's several songs in here that there's multiple people singing. And what I find interesting on this album, for as far as demo quality is concerned, I'll use the Temptations as an example. So there's multiple people singing, and a lot of times on a system, you'll hear and it sounds like they're coming out of one microphone, when the reality is they all had individual microphones. And when you start to get to highly resolving systems, that's one of the key benchmarks, that all the Temptations have individual microphones. So Alt J on this particular record, they do a very good job mastering, and they give everybody their individual sense of space in the sound stage, and they actually use it to great effect. So great record, can really vouch for this one. I will tell you this is another one of those records to where you may see some reviews about some clicks, pops, noisy. I would ultrasonic clean it. But once you do, it's, like I said, great listen. Worth picking this one up, still in print. So another one, Beck Morning Phase. So this is one of the best sounding records I know of. Cycle, the very first song, and then goes into Morning. But it's very analog tape like, and it sounds exactly like an analog tape. There's very few records I've ever heard that you would have a hard time distinguishing between the two. This is one of them. There's a Marvin Gaye one that I mentioned in another video. That would be another one that's very analog tape like. But if you're a Beck fan, this is not your typical Beck. This is not Loser and that kind of vibe. This is a very chill type record. And a lot of people don't know, Beck is actually a really, really good artist overall. He does a lot of different music. He writes music for folks. And this is a good record to step off the beaten path of what you may not know Beck has done. So another one, Cigarettes After Sex. So this one here, Tejano Blue, you may have heard that song, but very airy, lots of reverb, and just sounds like they're in a giant room. So this is, very engaging type listen because it's minimalistic, but somehow kind of still sucks you into the soundstage. There's not a lot going on, but yet a lot going on. But again, good record from beginning to end. Very chill vibe to it. Doesn't get too quick paced or anything of that nature. So if you're looking for something to have on that sounds great and not going to get the blood pressure down too much, this is a good one for you. Next up, this is kind of off the beaten path. A lot of folks may not know this. Apple Rabbits, if anybody's ever heard of Apple Rabbits, this is Oberkampf. It's a 45, and particularly the song Oberkampf. The way that they do it is, it's kind of like electronic as far as the style of music, but they have video game type sound effects in the background going on. And if you have a really resolving phono cartridge needle, it really differentiates and delineates and keeps that rock solid image of all the different video game noises in the background, all the while the song keeps picking up pace. So it's a good demo record. It's a good test of your system and how it can really parse out different frequencies and things in the soundstage. This one's called by Apple Rabbits, called Rivercom. Believe this is a Canadian band. You may have to go to their website in order to be able to get that. Another really, really, really good record, beginning to end, top to bottom. I definitely would call this in the category of chill hop, I guess. But Elsane, Hybrid. This is one of those records you just let play, beginning to end. Sounds great, top to bottom, sound staging on it. Her vocals as well, too. A lot of people don't realize when you listen to the vocals of her, she doesn't use any effects on her voice. That's actually her real voice. This is the return to analog copy. There was only 333 of these ever done. So it's a really, really well done record. Great sonics to it because, there wasn't a lot of dirt on the plate. They only pressed 333 of them. So these still do float around on Discogs. It's not too out of hand pricey, but again, it's a good record beginning to end. It's one of my favorite ones to listen to. Certainly recommend Elsane. Here's one everybody knows, but if you get an original pressing of this, Lord Pure Heroin, it's a really, really good sounding record. It's one of those records that we spoke about previously to where it doesn't sound the same on vinyl that it does on digital. You certainly can hear that there are two bass notes going at the same time, as opposed to when you hear it on digital, it just sounds like one bass note. I like the Billie Eilish Bad Guy. That's another song that takes on a different life on vinyl because of that low end bass to it. And this would be one that kind of has that all over the record. So 400 Lux, that would be one that comes to mind right away. That just sounds totally different on vinyl. Very engaging sound stage, has that crystalline sound to it, but yet very warm analog tape like. So I'm not real sure how the current versions of it sound, because I did hear somebody say they were iffy on it, but I can tell you an original pressing of it's a top-notch record. Another one, I guess we're sticking to a Canadian theme somehow, but Men I Trust. If you ever heard of Men I Trust, they're another return to analog. They do short runs. This is electronic type music, but they certainly do play some instruments. The one that comes to mind that you may know of, I believe it's called Yes. The song Yes. So if you look up that'll give you a good idea of like what kind of music they are. But it kind of reminds me of that Apple Rabbits album that we just talked about. It has that vibe to it. Very bluesy as far as the sound is concerned, but all the instruments has a very nice sense of space to it. The vocals are real well done, real warm on it. So a good record. And again, beginning to end, different music. You may have never heard of Men I Trust. If you have, you know this record, and it's one of their best ones. And then lastly, another one people probably know, Massive Attack, Mezzanine. One of my favorite records to listen to, beginning to end. Lots of deep, brooding bass. It definitely falls in that category of sounds different on vinyl than it does on digital, because the way you can kind of separate the bass notes. and the vinyl plays real well to that. Songs beginning to end, everything has something for you. If you know the TV show House, this is actually where they got the song from, Teardrop. The opening of House, this is the record that song's on, if you didn't know that. So if you like the beat of that, pick that up. On this note, it's one of my favorite records here, actually. So I got a pretty special one we'll end with here. Tim, I don't know if you can see this on here, but if you read that a little bit here, this was a one-off rip of the actual master tape done on Dolby SM468. So that's a pretty cool version of Massive Attack. Definitely, again, brings on a whole new dimension when you put it on tape and you get that tape saturation and the bump and roll. Definitely a fun record to listen to that way. So that wraps up another edition. Hopefully that gives you some ideas, maybe some things you never heard of, something to try. You can listen to the stuff digitally, see if you like it, and if so, go invest. But the point is, I can certainly vouch for all these records. They're good sounding stuff. And thanks again for listening to the music.